Hey guys, do you need welding gas? Go see the boys at C.A.R Gas. If you're in New Zealand, yep, go see these guys. They'll look after you. C.A.R Gas, New Zealand. Morning everyone, so welcome back to another video. So, here late yesterday they come around with the silage trucks and the, what do you want to call it, the chopper that picks up the grass and spits it into the trucks. Did that yesterday, so the old place looks quite good. There's still a few mounds of grass I probably could have picked up, but obviously they dismiss it and they just carry on, and it is what it is. Again, this morning, it's really quite cold. It was only like about 37 degrees Fahrenheit, or 3 or 4 degrees C here, so it's a pain in the butt. We just haven't got that temperature up yet to be consistent in the morning, which is partly why I'm having problems with this body filler going off in a reasonable sort of time frame, or staying gooey on top. Bit of a hassle, but it's life. I'll just fix my tripod here. I've got both rear guards finished. I'm just going to knock a little bit of glazing putty off one. I don't know if I'm going to panic with the other one. It's actually not too bad for damage. This one here, I didn't actually film it, me putting body filler on it, I don't think. But I got the other one sorted. It may need a little bit in places. It may need some extra filler in places. But I think what we'll do is we'll get that one knocked down, and I might have a bit of a clean up here, a bit more sort out blow down and whatever, and maybe get some of these panels ready to put some high build on. Just have a quick go over and just make sure there's no funny edges or anything, and possibly spray some in high build. I'm just thinking I'm just wondering if I might just spray the back of the body in high build too. I just don't know. And sort of get maybe a few coats on, if you know what I mean. I've got a lot of panels to paint, so I'm probably at the point, where I could probably do a little bit of that. Maybe even just lay the doors out in this wood, take all this stuff away, lay the doors out, and maybe the hood tops, lay them out on there. Use other panel stands to maybe sit a fender or two on, and just try and get some stuff painted today when the tent comes up. It's meant to be about 20 odd degrees today, so it should be quite nice for doing that. So yeah, and I'm sort of at that point, but I'm just, I don't know. I wonder if I should actually just leave the doors until I get them on the body and get everything when I get the chassis bolted down. Hopefully I should have these kingpins shortly too. I haven't heard anything, but I haven't been there to check, but normally they'll ring if stuff's ready. And I still need to sort that suspension stuff out. But we haven't got the axle cleaned up yet, so I can't put it back together until then anyway. And I still need to paint it, so it just sort of is what it is. Anyway, I might have a bit of a blow down and sweep up, get rid of some of the body full of dust and stuff out of here, at least, and maybe so we can get some high build on some of these parts anyway, and just see how we're looking, and go back through them again, if you know what I mean. And if maybe give them a few days to sit, sort of Monday or sort of type thing. If we get some good heat over the next few days, then they might be a decent amount of time to sand them. So yeah, we'll see how we get on while we clean up. Righty, so I'm in the midst of getting everything sorted out. I had a bit of a sweep up, clean up. I've laid some plastic over the chassis frame, what do you want to call it, just because if I'm spraying 2-pack high build, it's going to get over everything, so that's one thing I don't particularly want it to get on. Other stuff, it is what it is. Hopefully the tractors are sort of far enough away that whatever settles on them will be fairly dry by the time it gets there, but the frame's pretty close. So I don't really want grey speckles and black paint. I'm just cleaning up these bits. I've just given these a light scuff, well, both sides with a bit of 240, and just getting everything prepped, just scuffing the insides of these and just dialing up anything else, like any little bits of body fill around the edges and stuff like that that I need to clean up and clean off and whatever. So I've got those just almost sorted, and then I'm going to do the hood sides. I don't know, I think I'm going to have a room to do the balance, but there's plenty of other stuff to do at some other time. And I'm also going to spray around the back of the body, but I've got to clean that tape off because I friggin' left it on there. Forgot about it. When I did the body work here, I forgot about the tape that was on here because I didn't want body filler. Well, I didn't want body filler on there at the time. I actually might have to put some body filler on here because I actually forgot to come back and do that. So I might mix up a little bit and come round and put it on here. We might have to revisit that, but I just want to get some product on here, so I'll give this actually a light scuff back too, because I see there's a few dirty marks on it from people obviously brushing past it when I'm not here, which is a bit of a pain. There's a dirty mark down there, which is somebody's rubbed something on there, which is really friggin' annoying. You know, I prefer people not to frickin' touch the thing, but it is what it is. I don't have full control of this shop. But anyway, hopefully if they do build it on, I'll have sort of, hopefully keep my area to myself, if you know what I mean, within reason. But yeah, so I have to give this a light scuff down and blow down, get rid of that tape off there. I've got most of it off, but still a lot on there, which is a bit of a pain. Yes, I don't leave masking tape on too long. I just put it on there to try and keep the body filler, as I was spreading body filler to try and keep it off there. Like I could have sanded it off, but you know, the idea is to put it on there and then pull it off after, you know, it's sort of gone off, and you start sanding when it's starting to go off, but I forgot about it. But sort of getting too excited to do body work, but that's life. You live and you learn. If you do it too many times, well, you haven't learned. But yeah, I'll get this other stuff cleaned up a bit more and blow down, wipe down with some prep, wash, especially this body because it's been sitting here a while. I'll give it a light scuff. I'm not too bad, and I'm probably not going to come right up here. I'll sort of blow it out into here because we will come back and probably sand back in here when we blend the doors in and get that on the body. But I just would like to get some product on the back here because it's fairly dialed in, if you know what I mean. There'll be obviously a lot of sanding and bits and pieces to go on back here, but once we get everything sort of dialed in, but yeah, we'll carry on. A bit more stuff, and hopefully, possibly after lunch sort of type thing, I should be ready to go and cleaned up and got everything sorted, I think. I've shifted the springs and everything back down on the other table where I was doing the last of the body work on these fenders. So yeah, hopefully we'll get the hood sides and tops and the four fenders and the back of this tub, this first part of the tub, with at least get some high board on it. I'd like to get some high board on the rest of it, but I just haven't quite got that far yet. And obviously, you know, once we get the frame back together, or at least got the axles underneath it, we can put the body in on it. And we can carry on from there. But I'll catch you later on. We'll see you soon, but later. Right, that's them primed the inside. I blew a sort of a bit of a coat across the back of the tub just because I had quite a bit of excess paint. So I mixed up about, wouldn't say quite a litre, which would be, I think it was a quart that's 900 and something mils, which is almost a litre. So I probably mixed up roughly about that sort of amount. Two of those cups with a bit over 400, not quite 500 mils each time I mixed it up. So that's what it took to cover those. I pretty much, on these, I've got sort of 2.5-ish, 3 coats. I tried to keep it away from the fins the second time, or the sort of the third time. The inside of the tops have got about sort of 4, so that should, hopefully when we get there, a nice rub out with some, some 300 or 320 or whatever like that. That should be quite nice in there. Same in here. The insides of the fenders are pitted and rough anyway, so that's why we're going to stone guard them. But they've got a good amount of paint in there, so hopefully they should seal all the stuff up anyway. That needs to be sealed up. And they've got a good coating in there. I just blow it a little bit on the back of the body. Also, that's the vent, the cowl vent. I just blew the inside of that. So when I do the other side of these fenders, I'll turn it over and hit that a few times anyway. So at least that'll be primed, and at some point we can throw it back in the body. At least now I come back after lunch, I can turn all the stuff over and blow several coats on the outside of it, more than what I have now. So yeah, I'll probably mix up, I don't know, maybe 3 cups and blow the outsides and get plenty on the outsides, except for these. These will get probably sort of similar to what they got now. So 2 or 3, maybe a little bit extra around the outside edges, around this sort of section, just sort of half blow it around there. Try and keep it away from the fins so they don't get thick, and chip off or whatever. But yeah, so that's cool. So it'd be interesting to see what they come up like. I know there's still little imperfections and nicks and stuff like that in there, but I'm not worried about that at this stage. This is the first heavy prime, so we can block back, and then there's going to be imperfections and stuff that we're going to possibly need to chase, so it's not super critical at this stage. So they will all get at least one more prime, and that's when we'll, hopefully before we do that, we'll catch anything else, and then hopefully one more prime, and then hopefully that's possibly the end one, but who knows, We'll see after lunch. Right, so I just got back here. It's cool, it's nice and dry. It's good. It's probably not real hard, but it's nice and dry, so we'll just turn everything over and get into it, I guess. Get it all turned over and smash some high build on it. I'll come back to you shortly. Righty, so I've had to separate the fenders off that one piece. I've dragged something else over there so I can sit one on, because when I had them up the other way, they just take up too much room to try and get around them. So I've got all the stuff set up. I actually had the can of highboard sitting outside just on that box in the sun for a while, trying to get a bit more temp in the paint. So hopefully it might. I wasn't really having issues with it, but it just wasn't spraying as quite as nice as I wanted to, because it was a bit thick probably still. That's 1.8mm gun, which it should be alright, but I think maybe I might, at some point I might get maybe like a 2.2 or 2.5 for spraying like high solid high build primers and stuff like that. That seems to be doing the job, but I would like to be able to put it on a little bit thicker per coat. Mind you, with a bit more temp, hopefully it might spray a little bit nicer. I'll give it a good stir up now and make myself up another batch, and we'll get into it. Right, I'll give that a few minutes. I've got about 3 reasonable coats in there, I think. Now I would have to double check. I think it's 3. What I'll do is I'll let that go off for a bit. Give it 20 minutes, sort of half an hour. Let it, and then I'll pour some more on. Just let that flash off and get some of the, just let it go off a bit. Give it some time, and then I'll come back and we'll just have a break for a few minutes and come back and pour a heap more on, and then hopefully we should be able to block a lot of stuff out. But yeah, I want to get a good layer of hide board on there, so at least when we block out, we can see really well if we do need to attack anywhere else. So we'll probably see when I've sprayed all the rest. Alrighty, so I've smashed some friggin' material, especially on this stuff here. I think you see me put the paint on here. This has only really got sort of maybe 3 on here, and then I left them alone. Same with that. That's probably got 3 or 4 coats, but the rest of it's got a heap. I've really poured it on there. Hopefully I haven't got too much on there and we're having it with solvent pop, but that's sort of why I left it part way in between, like left it for a good half an hour, let it try and get some some solvents out of it, let it cure for a bit, and then hit it again. So yeah, there's probably, I'm guessing, probably 6 good thick coats on there. Hopefully that's plenty that we can block out. You can still see marks and bits and pieces in it, but hopefully by the time we block it out, maybe go over with a little bit of glazing putty here and there for where it needs it, sort of type thing. If we end up with any other issues, we can obviously put a little bit more filler in if we need to, or whatever. But yeah, and then we should be able to hopefully high build again with about half the amount of paint that we put on this time, and block it back one more time, and we should be good to go. And obviously the body needs more work, but at least it's the back section should be fairly good. We should have blocked that out and then maybe just chase the odd little mark bits and pieces, whatever. And then when we get it, then we should better get anything else with the second coat, and obviously with the doors and stuff. But we should be pretty good. There's a heap of product on these, absolute heap. So that's cool. And with scraping that line out, actually this one here shows it up better, I think. This one that shows it up better. Yeah, you can see where I scraped that line out, it actually shows up quite nicely now, so hopefully by the time we sand that back, that will still look like a standard join, so that worked out well when I cleaned out that edge, because we'd put a lot of body filler on there and bits and pieces, scraped that out, and that's actually picked that out quite nicely now. So hopefully by the time we block that back and whatever, it should look really, really good. So yeah, it's cool. Anyway, I'm going to bugger off about an hour or more. I might shoot down a little bit later on, because I just don't want to move anything at the moment. Just give it an hour or 2 to flash off. Then I can drag this stuff up here a bit, and obviously bring a vehicle in here that needs to be in here. But I just don't want to move this stuff too much. That's all right, because I can move that at any time. But that's probably had a good hour without paint on it. But the rest of it's fairly fresh, and it's probably 10-15 minutes since I cleaned the gun up and whatever. So yeah, I want to leave this for at least a good hour, or maybe a wee bit more than that, because it's got quite a bit of product on it, so I'd rather just leave it for a bit. Anyway, we'll catch you later on. Cheers. Right, morning guys, so welcome back again. So I'm just in the midst of just putting my gun back together, and I'm going to give it a quick swill out. I had like all the air cap and tip and everything all off, cycling in some reducer, and I've got everything else off the stands in the meantime, just hopefully sort of sitting out of the road. So I just want to leave all the stuff for a few days till today's Friday. Sprayed them yesterday, which is Thursday. So I just want to leave them till over the weekend, and we'll have a sand Monday and see. I just want to let them sit for a few days. When I sprayed these yesterday, I didn't really sort of say much exactly what I was doing. So by the time I'd gone round the panels and sprayed them, I would try and make sure that at least before I put another layer on, that I could see that it was going off on top. I tried not to put it on when the layer before was wet. Still, you see where it's starting to skin off. That's when I pour another layer on. I put 3 on, I think, for start off. I think 3 or 4, and then I just walked away and left it for a good 30 or 40 minutes and let it flash off a decent amount, and then I poured more on. The sides with the flutes or vents or whatever you want to call them, I only sort of hit them about 3 times, just so there wasn't a huge amount of product on there. So yeah, that's about that. Now I've got a couple little gripes with this PPG shit. And it's not so much the product, that I couldn't spray the high build and just the hardener. I had to reduce it. I couldn't get it to go through my gun. I tried to spray it through at full thickness, but I think I had to reduce it because it's 4:1 to 1. I'm pretty sure I reduced it about 15% on the thing. So you got 5, 10, I think it was about 15, it might have been 20%, roughly thereabouts. I was in that ballpark, you know what I mean, because I was just sort of splashing in and trying to guess. Because the worst thing is, with these friggin' tins, these are just an absolute bitch to pour out of when they're new. I don't know why these guys stick with this style of tin. The ones that got, you undo the cap and then you pull the little frickin' plastic sock out of, I know they're a bit of a bitch to put those lids back on. They can be a bit of a funny thing, but they're so much easier to pour out of, and you don't waste product. Again, the hardener in this stupid tin, when it's full, and you get the cap in the centre, by the time you're trying to pour it in your cup, because you've got to get your ratios right. It's not as though you can have the cup up there and you can pour it on its side, because you're trying to pour it down on the flat to get your mix right? So by the time you pour it, you open your thing and it's full the first time, by the time you're getting up here, it's running out the top, over the top of the thing. It's a fucking pain in the ass. PPG, you need to sort your shit out, because it's just dumb. Like there's, $1,000 worth of product here, and you're fucking pouring it on the bench because you can't get it out of your can without spilling the shit out of it. The only thing you probably could do, if you're making bigger, you're going to use a bit of product, is I probably could get another paint cup and try and hold it in there and pour a bit in it, and then pour it out of that paint cup into my mixing cup. That's probably what you could do. Or, if you had a big shop and you got the mixers, well, yeah, then that's fine. But for the average man that's doing what I'm doing, restoration, you might be painting, say every couple of months type sort of thing, and you're not doing it every day, you're not going to have a big massive paint rack with all the colours, because you're not using it fast enough. So yeah, they're just a bitch. Like, I've used products recently, and the hardener and stuff comes in bottles like this. This is so much freaking easy. You can take the top out, pour it in there, you can hold your cup reasonably square, pour it out the first little bit. Now if you have to pour it on, tip on its side a little bit and then sit it down, and then you can, to get that first little piece out of it. But you're not spilling it over the edge of the freaking can, and that's my biggest gripe with some of this stupid freaking containers they put shit in. And the PPG seems to be like that. Like these things here, yeah, this is what I'm talking about, you know, like these here, some of them have got the big long things. These are far easier to pour stuff at it because you've got a little bit of time before it gets up to the top. You know, and the longer ones are even better. So like, you know, these guys tell me what you think, you know, but they're doing this sort of stuff too. Like some of them are just, the way they use their tins or their containers, it's just dumb. It just makes it awkward and you waste a lot of shit when it costs a lot of money, you know. The last thing you want to be doing is pouring shit all over the bench because the container's just horrible to get that sort of first quarter out of it, you know. Once you get down a quarter of a tin or container, then it becomes a bit more easy and you got a bit more control. But that first bit of that thing, you're spilling half of it on the fucking table. So, but anyway, that's my gripe over. I'll get myself sorted out here and then I'll work out what I'm going to do next. Righty, so I just changed the media in the blasting cabinet. So I basically want another bag for because what I had for doing the small or the bigger parts outside with the with this thing, I was finding that I basically only had a little bit left and had so much shit in it would keep plugging up and that wouldn't blow through. So I said, grab us another bag of media. We'll throw the fresh stuff in here. So it's nice and sharp for when we're doing small stuff. And the bigger bits that I can't get in here. Like I could get all these springs in there. This would just fit in there just. Now I'll give these another go over. But these longer leaves I can't get, and I need to separate these anyway. And I'm going to separate those. But what I'll do is I'll get these separated, and then sit them outside, and then I'll separate this stuff as well. I'll sit the long ones outside, and I'll give them a blast. So yeah, I've got that's the other shit that was in that bucket just now and there. So there's only a little bit left. That there's walnut, so it's not really good. We got that so we could do some more delicate parts if we needed to. So yeah, I'll get this sort of stuff sorted and get that separated. I've actually got another air fitting for the end of my air hose because that one, the little stopper in it, the spring's broken. So it's a bit of a pain, so I'll get that changed over too. But yeah, and I've just shifted my springs and stuff to the front and set them down there since I've got them loosely back together. I haven't done the nuts up, but they're back together properly. And just set the other pieces there so they're out of the road. So yeah, I'll get this stuff sorted, and I think that's what I'll do. I'll have a sandblast out there with some of these parts to get these a bit more closer, and then hopefully we'll get that dip housing and that cleaned up next week sort of type thing. But yeah, so at least if I can get some of this stuff sorted out, I can actually maybe etch a few more of these bits, and I've still got to tack that front valance and get that etched, and I've still got to tack those and clean them up and get them etched. So that's a bit of stuff I can lay out, and some of this stuff here maybe tomorrow or the Monday or something like that, and tack that stuff, you know, as well as have a play with sanding and see how that gets on. So that's what I'm doing at the moment. Alright, another wee project I've got going on today. Well, not really a project, but just giving this a clean out and changing the cleaner. And I'm going to try the simple green industrial cleaner degreaser. See how that works for cleaning up parts. So I've still got what was left of the last stuff, the CRC, you know, degreaser parts cleaner. So I've still got that, so I can, if something's really dirty, I can throw it in there, get the thick of the shit off maybe, and then throw it in here and give it a clean off. But there, that evaporated quite quickly. Oh, well, I suppose, you know, over what are we talking, 6 or 7 month period, that evaporated at least half. So it'll be interesting to see how long this lasts, you know, before we have to replace the fluid in it. So yeah, there's 20 litres odd going in there, which is about 4 gallons, 4 and a bit gallons. I'm going to throw in there, so we'll see how this goes over the next wee while, cleaning out parts and bits and pieces. So yeah, I've got quite a few parts in there that I can re-wash through here now, which will be quite handy to just rinse stuff out, since this stuff will be nice and clean. I don't know, the biggest problem I think with some of this sort of stuff is when you come to reassemble it, you're going to have to wash it down with something else, like brake clean or something like that anyway. So it's good for getting rid of the stuff clean, but yeah, I'll almost need to get, I don't know, like just some brake clean, or like a tub of it or something that we can use to just rinse parts so they are like absolutely totally clean before we assemble stuff, you know, so it is actually fresh and properly rinsed and clean. So yeah, but anyway, we'll throw this in here and we'll see how this goes too. I'll do a review on this. Alrighty, so some of the stuff that I had soaking in that lot of stuff there a wee while ago, well, a few days ago, I had it soaking in to try and clean out the lines for the grease to go and to lubricate the shackles and stuff like that. I've just given a lot of that stuff a rinse off in this simple green. Now, I actually read on it, you dilute it, so I went and so it says you know, 90% to 10% for light duty, you know, grease, oils, whatever, you know, 80% water, and 50% for heavy, thick, whatever. So what I've done is I've probably got it about 40% water or close to it. I could probably put a wee bit more in there, just so the fluid level was just below the tray, but I've got to be careful that I don't end up with the fluid level too high and it runs out the hole where the switch is. So it's cool. So I can put more water in it as it dilutes or as it evaporates. But I am quite impressed so far. Just having a play with it and giving these a rinse out and cranking this up and actually blowing it back through the things. These have actually come up and the dried pretty non-greasy, which is a good thing. Like this stuff here, when you took the parts out of it and left it sitting there, they're still quite filmy and greasy, so like you'd have to obviously re-clean. Like you're probably going to have to do that with this stuff anyway, just to make sure that they are clean, and there's no contaminants or something in there that's going to react with something. Like if you happen to like paint, when we paint these pieces, you know, you would make sure that you at least clean them down with brake clean or something like that, just to make sure that this stuff isn't going to react with paint, obviously. But this stuff here, that CRC stuff, I do find, like, because that's been sitting out of that, like that way up for a few days, and it's quite greasy still. It's like cleaning it and getting rid of the gunge out of it and loosening everything up, but it feels greasy, where this here, these bits here, don't feel greasy. Like they're drying quite dry. It's not leaving a greasy film on it. So at this stage I'm quite impressed. So it's cool. So I've actually just got the nuts and bolts and the grease nipples just soaking in this stuff to try and hopefully we can use, you know, we can replace these if we need to, but you know, if these are fine, we'll, you know, just let them soak in there and get the gunge and stuff out of them, and yeah, we'll just throw them back in these and reuse them, you know. Just giving these a bit of a wash off too. That stuff there, you can actually see what it's done with the paint in this thing. So it's quite strong, but yeah, it leaves a greasy, dirty film. you know, for all the parts that I've washed in here. Well, this stuff seems to be a bit cleaner. Okay, it's green, but it's a bit everything comes out a bit cleaner. So there too. So, but yeah, so that's quite cool, and it's good that you can actually dilute that stuff. To be honest, I'd probably need to read that. You probably could have diluted that too, but I actually like that better. That simple green. So I don't know. You guys, let me know what you guys use. You know, it'd be interesting to compare notes, I guess. So I'm going to carry on and sandblast a bit more stuff. I've done one spring pack, got that apart. I've done some of the small stuff in there again, just gave it another blow over with that fresh grit. So yeah, I've given these a blow over. I might hit them with maybe wild wheel or something like that, just to give them an extra bit of a clean up. Because unfortunately, just with the air pressure here in the system you're using, it's not a real heavy strong. Not real heavy strong. If I really spent probably 4 hours, I'd probably better blow everything off and get them really cleaned up, like super clean. You know, back to what like this stuff was. But you know, like, I don't know if it's worth it. You know, I might as well just take it somewhere else and get them to sandblast it at that point. Otherwise, I'm just wasting time. But it's blown the worst off. I might give them a quick wild wheel type sort of thing, and then give them a blow down and whatever, and we'll get them ready to paint or etch and paint and whatever. But I've still got to pull that other pack apart, and also I want to paint those shackles, the ends of them anyway. I'll take the rest off or whatever. So that's why I've given these another rinse off. So I want to paint these plates, the ends of these shackles and nuts and whatever, because this is all seen and painted, if you know what I mean. I can probably paint some of the stuff too for the brakes. We'll see what happens. I can do that at other times too when we do diff parts, but I just thought I'm going to try and get some stuff ready that I might maybe etch tomorrow and then blow a bit of black on if I get time, or maybe, you know, paint in black Monday type sort of thing. We'll see how time goes. But yeah, like I don't need to paint any of this stuff in here. That's why I've got it soaking. You know, I'll probably paint the U-bolts too, things like that. So it's kind of what I'm doing at the moment. So I need to get that pack apart. I stopped sandblasting because I was spraying weeds. So I think they've done this area now. So I think they've finished, or they had the old tractor out there with a big spray pack on the back spraying weeds. So they've done up and down the drives. I think they sprayed through here, I'm not sure. So that's why I sort of just packed away for a while and played with this. But I need to get that spring pack apart. So I'll do that now. I'll check what the time is and then do that now. I'll probably get that, at least get it apart before lunch. And yeah, carry on. Righty, so this is the spring out of that pack. Or the bolt, the spring. Yeah, the bolt out of the pack, spring pack. Why they've done this to the end of this bolt, I do not know. And they've actually cut it off clear too. So I'll go get a couple new bolts, nuts and bits and pieces. Because that end should be rounded off with a slot in it. Factory, that's what the front pans are, and this has been like hacked off so poorly when they've freaking thrown these back together. I don't know quite why they've mungled that bolt or nut. Absolutely freaking hammered it. I don't know if you can see that or not. Just trying to focus on me. But yeah, you can see that that's just chewed up like dog's breakfast. So I'll replace those. Right, I've got a wee tech tip for you. I've got absolutely sick of sandblasting this stuff because what I've got is not really strong enough. It's alright in the cabinet, you know, but even out there, it's a bit iffy, like it's not really ripping it back to bare steel, like I would like, really would like. But it is what it is, you know. We're not blasting out of a nozzle like that, you know, where the big boys do it with, and it just tears everything off. You're working with it, like it was doing the stuff in the cabinet. You know, and it's cleaning it up, but it's not either, if you know what I mean. Like it's breaking all the surface stuff away, and you know, with a half-ply decent result, I suppose. But what I've done, all these poly discs, or you know, Scotch-Brite discs that I've had, all the last little pieces that haven't been really useful to use on bodies and stripping down things, I've started using, because I've had a few. So you just keep all the ends, throw them in a box. And if you ever need to clean up springs or anything like that, because they don't last terribly long, because you're going over hard edges, but you can normally get, maybe like with what's left, you know, this sort of stuff, and you're getting right down to that. Just run them flat across the edges, turn them around, whatever, and just rip all that crap off, and it cleans them up nicely. You know, like we're not hard down, but we're pretty much at bare steel type thing. Well, but yeah, no, we're right down to bare steel. It's only taken a damn sight quicker than me trying to do it with a little hand sandblaster. Like this one here is going to be awkward with this crap on it. I can still sandblast the ends of that, you know, and try and clean up the best I can. But at least I'm marking out with a half decent result, and it's quick. Like my poly pads aren't going to last that long. I've only got about 3 left, or a couple left, plus the one that's on there. The reason why I'm using these ones is because it is hard on them. It's tearing the stuff off fairly fast. But if they're basically past the useful life for doing other stuff, handy. Throw them in a small box. You know, if after you've done a few big jobs and you might have a few and you want to clean some springs up or something like that, that's nice and flat, but it's a bit crappy and shitty. Rip them apart, run that across them a few times, and Bob's your uncle, you know, they're clean. So, that's, yeah, don't always throw shit away. Sometimes it can come in handy. There's always a use for it, eh? Like, it's like, I probably should throw these away, but the same thing, I keep them, because sometimes you get that silly, shitty little job, well, you know you're going to frickin' tear the crap out of them, but, you know, if you've got a few just ends left, you're down to the sort of the past the useful part of it. But if you're going to do something really rough or something like that, and you don't want to destroy a couple of new discs, you know, just use all the ends up and just tear them up. And like it takes them, you know, you're getting rid of them pretty quick, but it saves, you know, smashing the shit out of a nice new one that you can use for fine work. You know, if you want to, especially like say if you had to grind up some crap on that, you know, and wanted to knock a heap of shit off, you just use those ends and just rip them, especially when it's a nice flat surface and it's easy to get onto. Because all I've been doing is just sitting in the vise like that, clamping it up. Sorry, it's hard to do shit one-handed sometimes. But you know what I mean. Put it in there and I've just been running across the edges enough. If that was a bit really shitty, you probably run over it with an old flappy sanded disc, you know, and knock the worst of it off and then come along. So yeah, that crap, you know, sometimes you know you throw it away, but sometimes it can be handy. Even the ends of cutting discs, I've thought about maybe making up a little fitting that I can put on my cut-off disc on a die grinder. And when they get down too small for doing anything with on a big grinder, you know, I've thought about making a little, spinning up a tool on the lathe that I can clip them on and use them for cutting or grinding on a, you know, on a die grinder. So, you know, it's always somewhere to use the end of something. Righty, so I'm almost ready to blow some etch on some parts. I've given that a good clean out in there, run it through there. So that's actually coming out fairly clean. One of these days, soon I'll strip that down. I've cleaned up a whole heap of bits and pieces to blow some etch on. Turn the camera around, I'll just give you a quick overview. So I've got the brackets for the inside of the body, you know, to hold the top and the clamps for the top. I've actually got the spanner for the bearing nuts for the dip. I'm just going to give it a quick coat. The U-bolts, the brackets for the front guards, all the leaf springs, and the plates that hold the U-bolts and leaf springs together with the diff and the nuts. So I'll give them all a quick flick with some match, and then tomorrow I'll blow them all black. So I'll just give these all a quick flick, you know, and then I'll turn these edges over so they're blow the other side. It's a thing about 3 o'clock, so it'll give me enough time to blow a quick coat over the, you know, quick coat over these, and then turn anything over that needs turned over, which is pretty much everything. So yeah, I've just got this all stuff, give it all a quick clean up, and yeah, just ground all the edges off that and blow stuff, and got any sharp edges, so we'll blow a bit of etch on this stuff, and this stuff's all a step closer. So yeah, that's about all I've got to tell you at the moment. I'll bring you back when I've got all the stuff done. Righty, so I've just flicked these with edge. God, I have to turn around. The sun's screwing me up with the way the door's open. So yeah, I've just given them more a quick flick with some etch. You know, enough to give them a half reasonable coating. It's only a base coating to help stuff stick, obviously. So that's cool, that's all done. I've turned them all over and given them another quick blow over from the other direction, basically. So yeah, that's cool. I'm actually just about out of that etch. I've got a little bit left, probably enough to do it. I'm hoping them and the 2 side valances, hopefully I've got enough to do them, but we'll probably have to get more because there's lots out of little pieces to do. Still heaps of little pieces. That's what people don't realise. When you paint the outside of a car, you know, or even in the jams, you know, maybe even, you know, under the bonnet, you know, sort of not so much under the hood, but, you know, like just blow around the edges and maybe the underside. You know, like you probably wouldn't use much more than, say, a couple of litres or a couple of, I think, quarts, whatever it is, you know, that's almost this sort of size. You might use a couple of those if you stripped it back down to etch and then blow it round, like I'm talking like a normal, say like a normal sort of size sedan or coupe or whatever. You know, that's a similar sort of size to this car right here. Now, by the time you blow around that in the door jams, maybe, you know, around the trunk jam or boot jam or whatever you want to call it, well, you know, you're only going to use, you know, as I say, like a couple of litres or a couple of quarts, whatever. Hell, I think that's 900 and whatever mils. I think quarts is the one that's close to a litre. But when you're doing something like this and you're spraying inside, outside, all these parts, all the springs inside the body, outside the body, you know, like, and all these little pieces, you know, you're not just painting, just giving the outside of the car a quick flick or, you know, repaint or whatever. When you're coming and going to this level of stuff, it's amazing where the stuff goes to. And I've still got to paint, you know, door hinges and pedals and, you know, like all the headlight stuff, and, you know, I've still got to clean all this stuff up and paint it, and you know, it's like that piece there for the seat base, like even the pieces for the, like these trays that they've made to fit in where the seats are, that, you know, you can put tools and stuff in, like that's going to be all painted. The wheels are going to be painted, you know, the steering box is going to be painted. It's amazing, like just there's lots of little parts. You know, like I've still got the tops, the trims paint, like I've got the dash to paint. You know, by the time you go through all that stuff, you're using probably 2 or 3 times the normal amount of stuff that you would do just to give the outside of a car a repaint, you know. And that's what people forget. Because it was quite funny, because I remember, I think I've mentioned this before, but when we got the high built, I said, no, get 8 litres, which is basically 2 gallons, or a bit over 2 gallons. And the guy at the paint shop said, why do you need so much? You know, it was like, well, we're doing a full restoration. You know, well, I said to the owner, you know, we're doing a full restoration. You're painting inside, outside, every piece of the car. You're not just painting the outer panels. You're painting every piece and steel piece of this car. So you've got to put product on the whole lot. So yeah, like we know, we've still got to paint the diff housing, all that sort of stuff's going to be painted, etched, primed. It's just, stupid. Like, you just don't realise how much paint you're using. We've got all these little brackets, steering brackets, clamps, all that crap, it's all got to be painted. Oh, the pieces for the hold down pieces for the hood sides that they haven't even got back to you yet, that's got to be etched, painted, primed, bodywork. So it's just endless, Even the door latches. I've got a door latch here somewhere, wherever it is. I've got 4 of those. They've got to be painted. All that sort of shit. It's just going to be, that's how they painted. Like the dash, that's going to be painted. That's going to be fake wood grained. All that sort of thing, like the window frame. And that's without, like if you're talking like a hard top, or a car with a roof. If you're doing a full restoration, you're stripping right down, you're painting every piece. Especially something this sort of era, there's so many little pieces. It's just the way they were built, I've got to paint all that hood top. I've got to finish that. Like, it's finished, but I've got to go through, finish welding it, put all the rivets in it, blend it, all that sort of stuff. Then I've got to etch it, then I've got to prime it, then I've got to paint it. So, yeah. It's amazing where it goes. Righty, we'll catch you later on. Cheers. Right, I'll sort of just do a quick wee ending. So I'm going to spray this stuff tomorrow, black. I'll do that in the morning, and that should be my day, I think. I'll just have to have a count up in my ass to see where I'm at for the old money situation. Yes, I'll spray these black in the morning, and whatever. So yeah, that'll be about that for that. And then I guess we'll probably see you on Monday after that. And then hopefully we can get some of these other parts and get these frickin' steering stuff back. Hopefully that's done. I might shoot and see them now, since it's not quite. It's about 4 o'clock. I thought, well, there's not much point in me disturbing this stuff. I probably could paint it black now, but by the time you mix up paint and whatever, and it's just as easy to do it in the morning. Anyway, we'll go see what's happening, and I might go find out about that steering stuff, see how far away that is. So at least I can get this front axle back underneath this thing. Right, catch you later on.